Hey guys, how's everyone going? So this is obviously my very first live, so obviously just see how things are going. So in this case, I appreciate everyone that's jumped on this call. I hope to do more of these. I think that, how is the sound first of all? Can I just get in the comments to see how the sound is so far, just because I'm getting a bit of reverb. Can you guys get the reverb as well, or is it literally just me that hears that? Sorry, it really is my first time doing this, but hopefully as we do more of them, we will get better. I'm looking at kind of doing this either weekly or fortnightly. I do think that it kind of allows me to just show the process a little bit more and gives you guys a little bit more guidance in regards to how we can do about this as well as, you guys building your own e-commerce brands or whatever you plan on doing. I think in the end, the marketing kind of really spans a whole genre of different types of businesses that you can create. How's it going, Jet Li? How's it going, Dickens? Nathan? It's a great name, mate. Let's see. Oh, we've got some people here. Honestly, I really thought I would be in this live myself. So it's nice to see that there are generally some people. So hopefully we can get more and more people every single time we do this. Naturally, we will find more better times, I'd say, just to get the majority of people on the calls. But all of this is going to be basically recorded as well. That's the whole point of it. And hopefully from that point, it's generally just going to improve from here. We'll get more concepts. Hopefully might be able to get some people on live, as well as the fact of just having experts on the calls as well. So I find, have that, what's this? Someone might have the TV on far in the background. Yeah, fair call, mate. Fair call. I will, let me see if I can reduce the sound a bit. Hello, hello. Alright, well, I think it's picking up less sound, so pretty much just get straight into it. I think that's going to be the fun part of it. So, alright, this is pretty much my first time using Streamlabs as well. So, alright guys, so I appreciate everyone obviously jumping on this live. It is my first time, so beware, just be wary with me in that regards. So, the way I kind of want to go about this is just relatively quite simple. It's just talking about a few different ways in regards to how the e-commerce space is naturally going to evolve over time, and as I kind of go through, sounds low now. All right, let's try that, see whether that sounds a bit better, and obviously just go into the comments to see how it sounds, guys, and just let me know. I've just increased the sound of the mic a little bit. Hopefully that helps. So there is obviously a little bit of delay on my end to when people are good. Awesome. Cool. So going back through it, in regards to your question, Kataro, the live, this one here could be roughly maybe 20-30 minutes. I'm not sure whether I just want to have really long lives, obviously, like streamers do, but I do think that, being able to break this up allows me to obviously have a bit of a break. It just allows me to spend a little bit more time on more so the finer details of what I want to talk about, but then also just give you guys a better understanding of what to do. So in regards to that, I will actually answer that question right now, Rainus, but obviously once I get into a groove of things, if you guys have questions, we'll answer them at the end, or we'll have a bit of a break and we'll be able to answer them there. So Rainus says, I have a question ready whenever you can. Started running a pod brand a week ago. Price point's about $80. About 30 add to carts and 1 sales. People clicking add to carts, slide cart appears and they click off. Any ideas? To be honest, mate, I would download Lucky Orange just because you don't really have a clear understanding of what people are trying to do on your store. If there is a disconnect on add to carts or there's a disconnect in trying to check out, especially with a pod brand, you definitely want to make sure that you're at least giving the best way to give that customer a way to check out. So it might sound simple, but in the case where I know with customized print on demand, people don't understand whether they need to put in an image or they need to upload anything. So as a result of that, they get really confused and then they generally abandon cart. So the simpler you can make the process, try not to overcomplicate it, you will be able to improve that and be able to convert more of those add to carts. So hopefully that helped trainers, but we'll be able to answer that question more in depth. So with this housekeeping, pretty much the way it's going to go is generally just, as I mentioned, being able to just riff off what I'm talking about and what I'm trying to get in regards to this live. I do think that the way that these lives will likely go is pretty much just going to just riff. They might happen each week, they could happen each fortnight, but I'm just deciding whether to kind of turn it into a bit of a series where I pretty much just go out and build a full live case study of exactly what I would do if I was to do this again in this space. So obviously I do plan on, posting on my Instagram profiles, posting on TikTok in short forms, but then I do find that for long form content on YouTube is generally allowing people to get context regarding what they want, what they want to learn. Short form content doesn't necessarily really provide context, and often it does sometimes make things look a little bit easier than they seem. So in regards to that, they're pretty much where it's going to go. So moving on from there, we kind of want to talk a little bit about who I am. So when it comes down to it, people probably wondering why they should even listen to me in any first place. I don't have any videos on my, that's really weird. I don't have any videos on my YouTube at the moment. I've kind of hidden them all in order to get a fresh restart. I basically have been in the e-commerce space maybe 4 to 5 years now. So in the online business world, I would consider that a dinosaur in this space, considering, you got 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, really young people, just really kind of gaining speed in this area. But I do find that where I can definitely help people is really understanding that gap between going from 0 to 10K a month. I do find that is actually more difficult than doing 10K to 100K, because it's very simple that when it comes down to me understanding what someone's going through, it's very, very tough in order to reach the point of understanding how to validate a product. As opposed to once you've validated it and someone already has proof of concept, it's pretty much a matter of being able just to turn the knobs to increase the level of scaling that you're going to go through. So hitting that 10K a month is really where it all starts, but at the same time, it's all along the journey. For me, it generally started when I made my first sale, and obviously my journey is going to be completely different to anyone else's. I started in the dropshipping space, but if anything, I started off just having a lot of failure at the start, but then that was kind of until I found something what is known as customized print on demand. So I have dropship products before. You often find that with dropshipping, you're generally going to be competing with a lot of other people. It's just naturally going to be the thing. Because what is gone on the internet so often is pretty much the easiest way to go. When you make something seem so simple and so easy, it makes people think that they're able to achieve that same level of success without really putting in the work. So as a result of that, what's generally going to happen is that you yourself are going to try to put as minimal amount of effort as possible, but that's not necessarily the case. It's going to require you, in order to validate concepts, in order to become successful, and in order to move forward. So where I really find myself in this YouTube channel, in being able to build an education platform in regards to how I can help you guys, as well as helping other people, as well as being able to share this information forward, is really just kind of persevering between that kind of landscape between 0 to 10K a month, but then moving onwards. So I do want to kind of harp on more so print on demand, just because it really is where my expertise lies. But I also have a dropshipping brand as well, and that obviously does about 100K a month. So in regards to that, I do think that I have expertise in regards to what I need to do and how I do think I can help you. Some people here would also notice that I am also on the back end of a really well-known e-commerce entrepreneur, and I often help out a lot when it comes to that as well. So if you guys know me from that, then it's very nice to see you again. So I do think that the reason I kind of always wanted to create my own personal brand and also, start posting on YouTube, Instagram, and all of that jazz is in order to kind of just fill in the gap between information that's out there and also being able to just put my spin on it. And then from that point on, we can just see where it goes. So now kind of understanding Shopify e-commerce in 2023. So obviously when it comes down to it, I often find that a lot of people feel like Shopify and dropshipping is dead just because when it comes down to it, they're going to see, they're seeing all the FUD and basically on YouTube, Shopify is a scam. Shopify didn't work for me. But then you go into the videos and the people that are talking about it often didn't do anything correctly. They didn't find anything working for them. And if anything, if you ask your next door neighbor, you ask your family members and how they shop these days, they all shop online. No one generally shops in store anymore. And as you can see, like the amount of money that's being poured in the online e-commerce space is dramatically huge. So I wouldn't say that e-commerce is dead at all. I would say that the way you do Shopify, the way you build a Shopify brand is starting to become a bit more tricky, not because of who you are, but because of how the end customer is getting smarter at shopping. So if you're still trying to use old methods in order to improve and in order to, try to sling products on repeat, you're going to run into a few issues. When you're basically trying to build a brand, you need to understand that you have to have the key customer, the end customer in mind, and then making sure that there is actually alignment between the product and the customer themselves. So when it comes down to it, you do need to actually make sure that while your marketing game is on point, the customer journey is also on point. So that's generally why there is a point of difference between dropshipping and private labeling. So with the idea, and obviously just bear with me guys, I'm obviously just using this as an example so I can riff, and then obviously in regards to print on demand, I will actually start to show you guys a few examples of different types of products that do really well during this time period. So when it comes to people doing dropshipping versus private labeling, it is going to be a point of difference. There's generally going to be people who want to get started with the lowest upfront costs. So keep in mind that in order to build any type of business, starting capital and starting finances is actually going to be quite important. Now, when it comes to building a private label business, there is a wider gap in regards to how you go about that approach, and then also making sure that you are essentially trying to leverage your validation of your concepts as well as trying to order enough products. Have you ordered enough products? Have you ordered the minimal number of products? You would have found that when it came to the YouTube series of the lemon scrub, which I was definitely a big part of, we started off with 50 products. And when we started shipping them, I was literally in the office and I was pretty much just slapping the labels on myself. So people kind of overcomplicate the idea of private labeling and often feel like they need to jump to the end result as soon as possible. But there is a huge gap between how you dropship as well as how you start private labeling. And I also want to kind of fill that gap in as well. So people that try dropshipping, often people always feel like they need to start with as minimal as possible. And obviously all the information online, myself included, when I'm going to start posting, is going to start to kind of work on that genre, because fortunately enough, that's how people want to perceive this business. But instead of looking at it as a get rich quick scheme, you should generally just look at it as a business. If I had an example or an analogy, would you rather go to a restaurant that has spent the absolute minimum in getting started and trying to run their restaurant? Or would you actually rather go to a restaurant that spent the time making sure they have quality goods, making sure they train their staff, and making sure that they've got the great location, they're willing to put the investment in order to garner your experience? It's always going to be the latter. People that feel like they want to choose the former are pretty much not going to understand the concepts and really shouldn't be building a business at all. So understanding that is really a key concept. Now, because dropshipping is actually a cheaper way to kind of get started. You don't have to hold the products, you don't have to organize fulfillment. You're going to be in your best interest in understanding that you are a marketer first and then a brand owner later. It's your job to be able to move the products and put them in the right places so that right people can see them. When it comes to dropshipping, at the very minimum, you need a product that is unique. You need a product that serves a purpose to some extent, whether it's as noticeable as you think it is or whether it's not. Private labeling is simply just housing a product, maybe changing it a little bit, or just slapping your brand on it. And that's the true difference. The funny thing is that while people think that, products from China aren't that great, your best brands and your favorite brands all do the same thing. They literally see what other smaller brands are doing, seeing whether they have a proof of concept, and then literally just going through and taking their product and slapping their name on it as well. What they're doing and that concept there is exactly how you should be going about in finding a winning product, except you're going from the other way around. Instead of being a big brand, you are someone that is, you have the capital, you can move much faster, and you're able to actually just move forward much quicker. Instead of having to wait around for a whole bunch of different, people to sign off for what you want to do. Instead of having to wait for all of those resources to become available, you can move much, much quicker. So when I talk about being able to, have a print on demand business, and while people don't think about print on demand, the benefits of it is that it simply allows you to meet the demands of what people are after. Now, print on demand generally does have kind of a bit of a bad name, but I also believe it's because of how people are trying to build those businesses. When you think of print on demand, you're kind of thinking of products like slapping on a cart. So for example, in this case, it might be, something like this. So when you think of print on demand, right, this is just Canva here as an example. People kind of talk about the idea behind trying to build seasonality. So they would go to Halloween, which just passed, and you would just type that in accordingly. Finding designs like this, and then just slapping it on a t-shirt. Now, while this does work, it's not necessarily creating demand between the customer and the product. All you're simply doing is generating products at scale, which is essentially the same way that, the general dropshipping route was taken back then, which was having 100 products on my store, and then basically I'm just going to try to sell them. Hopefully someone that goes on my store is going to buy one thing and then maybe buy 10 more things. So it's hopeless, and you're kind of just hoping for the best. That's the exact same thing when it comes to print on demand, and that's often the case. So when you see things like, Halloween designs or Halloween backgrounds, and then they just slap it on a pillow, or they just basically slap it on a t-shirt, it's not the way to go. First of all, because your margins are not going to be there. So if I just put this and chuck it on the pillow, that pillow would probably cost me $20 to make or $15 to make, but I would only really be able to sell it for $20 or $30. The reason why is essentially because this has no inherent meaning to someone. No one generally needs a Halloween pillow or a Halloween t-shirt. So the reason behind that is that you're not essentially able to sell this at a higher margin in order to have the difference in profit. So when you don't have a margin to play with, you're not going to have an ability in order to scale it with paid ads. You're pretty much going to be flogging it as much as possible, trying to get a single sale. But even then, the time that you spend into it is just not going to work. So what do we generally do at that point? That's what we've kind of talked about throughout this period, and what I kind of want to give a bit more of an understanding in regards to how I wanted to build this personal brand. So where I come from and where my strength lies is an area which is known as customized print on demand. And in this case, the way it's going to work is it is going to require a little bit more work. You're going to have to make sure that the operations between your brand in building the product and getting the designs is going to require a little bit more finessing, but the benefit of that is that you are essentially creating your own blue ocean. And what is a blue ocean? A blue ocean is basically a avenue where you can sell your products without much competition. So if you think about the dropshipping route, you think about how people go about it in regards to their ability to try to sling a product. The moment you started to make some sales, 100 other people have jumped on it with you. The benefit of customized print on demand is that there's a difficulty level of it that allows you to operate without that many competitors jumping in it with you, because people try to do it, but the majority of people are trying to put in no effort whatsoever. So as a result of that, they're not even going to try to compete with you. So you will very much find that by doing customized print on demand, or even some form of customized dropshipping, that's totally fine. It's the exact same process. You're actually going to be able to create your blue ocean, because people do not want to put the effort in order to create that. And I'll give you an example of customized dropshipping by talking about a brand called the Name Stamp. So the Name Stamp is an example of customized dropshipping. This product is essentially just taken from China, but each product that's going to be shipped to the customer is a completely different product. All right. So this means that every single stamp or every single product that's being shipped is basically completely different, completely unique. And what does that mean? If someone's receiving something that's made just for them, that basically means that they can charge a higher price. There's going to be higher return rates, a much higher lifetime value of the customer, and minimal returns. Just because it's built for them, which means that the likelihood that they're going to return it is very, very low. Even when people offer these 30-day money-back guarantees, you often find, and there is data based on brands like Koala, based on the Udi, that there is really less than a 1% return rate, even when you offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. Obviously, if you are going to offer it, then you should honor it. Don't be that person that's going to offer it and then never respond back, because you're going to end up with a lot of chargebacks. But what I really want to show is that this is a clear example of what customized dropshipping is, and that is also an area where I am quite comfortable with. When you're willing to put in the work and you're willing to show something that other people aren't willing to do, you can create your own blue ocean, in which case this person has done clearly. You can see based on the time frames in which they're shipping, if I go to their shipping speeds, it's about 7 to 12 days. Now you'll find that 7 to 12 days generally means that it's coming from China, because most products that take 7 to 12 days are going to require that same amount, 5 to 10 days, 5 to 15 days, if anything. You often find that some countries are much quicker than others, but let's say to Australia, it must roughly take about 10 to 15 days. So now, this gives you a much more better understanding in regards to what you should be doing. This brand here, they do 100K a month easily. And you can see they're charging such a small amount because this product is a consumable. It gets used, ink gets used. People want different types of designs because their kids enjoy what they're doing. So you're able to then utilize this in order to move forward. And I would say, even though this brand is definitely one of the top competitors, you can jump on this brand as well. I can easily find it on AliExpress right now. And I'll just show you exactly what I mean. So if I go to AliExpress, and then I'll basically look for it. So Name Stamp. Exactly where I am. So look, this one here, $4.40 AUD, and they're selling it here for $19.99. That's likely to be USD as well, which means it will probably be about $25 to $28. Now that there is a huge margin. That's an amazing margin. The supplier is going to put the photo on and the name on, and eventually once you build rapport with the supplier, you're able to actually move forward and build a bigger business. So all that's really being happening is that the person here who's ordering this is just simply adding their name, then the person and the customer, sorry, not the customer, the person who runs this business is then going to their supplier and creating potentially a CSV sheet, and then just basically adding their name on every single order. The supplier handles all of it, the supplier ships it, the customer gets the product, and they're super happy. In the meantime of all of that, the owner of the store maintains expectations, because even though it does take 5 to 15 days, you still need to make sure that you're managing expectations. But another huge benefit of basically customized print on demand is that because there's a customized process, customers don't really mind about the time frame as long as you're managing expectation. If I told a customer that it takes me 10 days to make this, then very much it's probably fair, just because they know that if I say that it's handmade, then in this case it's going to work in their favor. Even though it might take the actual brand or it might take the supplier 1 day to do it and maybe 10 days to ship it, then that time frame that in which I'm managing expectations is the time it takes to receive the product. So you can really see that customized print on demand has multiple benefits in that time frame. Not only are you able to, create a product that's going to give you much better margins, it's going to give you much better value, as well as your customers are going to enjoy that product much, much more compared to the dropshipping route of, flogging crappy products that have no real value, trying to use the same TikTok examples all the time, and being able to just generally aim to just, trying to flog a product as much as possible without really worrying about what the end consumer really wants. So in this case, I'm going to kind of show you a little bit more about how to find products, and at least from there we can move forward from that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a bit of time and just answer a few questions. So I appreciate you guys being patient with me. Obviously, if you have any more questions, leave them in the chat, just chuck them in, and I'll spend this time just answering them straight up. So OCQ DAO 70. So is it possible to get cold top of funnel audience purchases for a product that costs 200? I think people will not give out that kind of money very fast. I actually think that you are experiencing a limiting belief. One of my brands has an average order value of roughly around $200 to $300, and yes, you can get cold audience purchases. You just need to be very, very clear, or the more that your product is going to cost, the more your actual marketing needs to be. Your direct response marketing needs to be of more proficient level. You can't simply just leave an image and just expect someone to buy. You would essentially have to make sure that you're speaking to the customer in every manner. But to answer your question simply, $200, it doesn't change anything. People are literally selling saunas online that are tens of thousands of dollars, and they're still able to make purchases on cold audience. Sharia, I want to start a clothing brand without POD. I want to start with caps, then expand my inventory later after I get an audience of groups. What should I do to bring organic traffic to my brand? So, question is, are you trying to dropship or are you trying to private label? Do you have any type of previous audience, or are you trying to build it from scratch? If it's trying to build from scratch on both, and you're willing to put the effort in, and then what I would do is just simply document your journey. Document it on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and just build an audience through that way. You can't just casually come out of the brickworks, run a cap, and then put a niche on there and just expect people to love it. But what people love more than they love brand is they love to follow a founder's journey from the very get-go, from the start, and that allows you to build that audience. So when you do release your caps finally, you will find that you're actually going to experience much more benefits in regards to that, because those people love you, and then they will naturally love your products, provided that you do actually give good products. Katara, I'm building a store for a brand that already exists in another region. What's the best way to build the exact same websites? Are there tools that already exist, or do I do it manually? To be honest, you can do it one of two ways. You can build it manually, and that's fine. It's always good to learn the process. However, what you can do is you can also use a Shopify app called Copy or Gem Pages. So what you'll find here with Copy is that it generally steals the product page, which allows you to copy it onto your own brand. So if it's not something that's too complicated and not completely custom coded, then you'll find that this brand, this Shopify app is actually able to help you. But I can't show you. So just check it out. Rainus, follow up, it's custom pod. So they choose everything from the options, upload images, click on add to cart, and then click off. I have Hotjar, but it doesn't give me anything. They stare at the cart and off they go. We'll have to take a proper look at this, mate. So what we'll do is just message me tomorrow, and then I'll take a bit of a look for you as well. Just because it's very difficult for me to actually understand what's going on, because I am not that customer. Let's see. Jet Li de la Cruz, in the health industry, a cholesterol checker or a blood sugar kit, a blue ocean product. How also the market knowing I don't know how to do Facebook ads or putting an online store? Well, second question of that is you learn how to do Facebook ads or building an online store. It's the whole point of it. There's plenty of videos online. I have videos myself. It depends on how you want to go about it. But at the end of this, you probably can just check the video description and you'll be able to get your answer there. Regarding the health industry, you have to be very careful with this type of stuff. Yes, it can be a blue ocean product, but at the same time, you are dealing with people's lives at that point. So make sure that if you're selling something, it actually works, because if it doesn't, you're going to run into some deep shit in that as well. Answer Yap, music, that's a cool name. What if my product is coming from Thailand or Philippines, not Alibaba? I'm planning to sell it outside Asia. Then that's fine. It means that you're essentially creating your own distribution that other people don't have access to. The difference between that is that because these other countries may not be as pronounced when it comes to handling and dealing with yourself, or whether it might be through a middleman, whether it might be direct with a manufacturer, you need to put a little bit more effort in regards to the approach that you take with them, making sure that you're still doing your quality control, you're still making sure that you're building a relationship with the supplier and you're getting the best rates. So I would still compare it to Alibaba regardless, and from there I would move forward from that. But great work being able to find something outside of Alibaba. The moment that you actually get outside of Alibaba, you'll find that a lot of people cannot copy what you do. If you actually go to Import Yeti and check a lot of the big brands like Lulu, like Gymshark, you'll find that a lot of their products are not on Alibaba because they've already created distribution, and that's private distribution. However, if you check on Import Yeti, you will be able to find it. Sharon in business, if I go the customized pod route, is it better to do a one product store or a general store? I would always start off with a one product store, just because your messaging is very honed in. That's going to allow you to really just focus on that single product. You'll find that there are going to be variants of that product nonetheless, but as you start to grow out your demographic, you start to grow out your team, you can add more products in. But in the beginning, especially while you're kind of handling that team yourself, it's going to be in your best interest just to understand how to do so. So stick with one product for now and then expand your categories. Angus Cowan, have you had influencer marketing work for custom pod products? It did work back then, Angus. It doesn't work as much now. I don't think that influencer marketing is where it is, just because once again, the end consumer is very, very smart. So you're going to find a lot of difficulty in actually finding influencers that still have a lot of influence, especially the ones in the lower level. Where you'll be able to find benefits is utilizing these influencers for UGC, user generated content. That's essentially going to help you understand exactly what you're doing, and then from there it's going to give you more guidance in regards to how you can go about it, as well as how you can organize it. So it really comes down to that. So in regards to influencer marketing, for me, it's not necessarily the best use of time. It's going to be a lot of time in just reaching out to them. Some of them are really tricky and they just ask for approved products, but they never really reach out, and that so on. So you're actually going to find better efforts going organic via TikTok or Instagram, or just running paid ads. Jet Li is selling an insurance product, a customized pod. No, it's not. So customized pod is basically print on demand that is customized uniquely for the actual customer themselves. So a good example of that, and I did actually bring one up. Let me just find it. So here's a funny example actually. This is actually a process of customized print on demand. It's called the potato parcel. They've been on Shark Tank. Super funny. So you can see here, they put your pet on a potato. And when you see a product like this, it makes you wonder why you complicate it so much in the e-commerce space. Because if someone like this can essentially go on Shark Tank, and I don't know whether they secured a deal, but they're obviously, looks like they secured a deal if anything, but this is such a simple product, and all they're doing is just printing on it and then sending it. So this is essentially a gifting product, but it's so funny and it has that unique value that people want to buy it. Here's another example of customized print on demand. It's essentially a bauble, and a bauble here that's made for the person themselves. This is basically customized print on demand because you're making it for the ideal person. You're finding out their colors, you're finding out their stature and their characteristics, and then you're putting it on a bauble or a product or any type of product that essentially can be used nonetheless. So the difference between that and then utilizing something from Canva, where is it? Like this, you're able to charge much more money for something like this as opposed to something like this. Something that's so general, something that no one needs, versus something that has an impulse nature, as well as something that's so specific, almost speaking to the ideal audience themselves, that enables you in order to understand what you're doing. Chris S, any recommended platforms to find influencers for marketing? Honestly, there's so many platforms right now, but the best thing you're going to be able to do is just go out and manually do the research yourself. Reach out to people. It's a numbers game. You reach out to 100, maybe 40 will reply. Out of those 40, 10 will accept your product, and out of those 10, maybe 6 will post. Rainus, do you have any examples of good performing video ads for pod? I would always check out the big ones. So Printy Pets, Crown and Paw. I would check out some like the Star Night, all of those ones. And just remember that all of those can be utilized for all the other brands. So when it comes down to that, it's pretty much a matter of you being able to do the research, finding big brands. You can use ad trackers and stuff like that, but it's naturally, as you start to find them, more will pop up, and then you start to collate those ads together, and Bob's your uncle. That's going to give you the best way to go. So obviously we spent a little bit more time. I probably harped on too much, but I did actually enjoy this a lot. So yeah, so basically this, I'll probably end it here. I know I pretty much said that I would go and, you know, teach you guys how to make $1 million with customized print on demand or dropshipping, but I just really enjoyed this as well. So obviously when it comes down to it, I do think that this is essentially a skill that people are not utilizing well, just because of their expectations when they get into it as a result of what information is currently out there. While it is easy for me to say it is easy, I don't want to kind of create unrealistic expectations. You want to make sure that at the very minimum, you're still focused on making sure that you're servicing that end user. Even if I'm trying to sell something like this, I'm at least still trying to focus on servicing that end user. I know if I sell something like this, they would be happy with what I buy. However, if I'm selling a design like this and sticking it on a mug, then there's really no connection that you're building with the end user or your customer at all. And that's generally not going to give you any insight in regards to how you should be selling it. All you're doing is flogging a dead horse, and that's the exact same thing you're generally doing with dropshipping as well. So whether you're dropshipping, whether you're doing print on demand, whether you're trying to build private label brand, all of that is still going to mean you have to be a good marketer. You have to be someone that is still understanding and trying to build that connection between yourself and the end user. So pretty much, if you guys enjoy this, what I'll do is I'll likely do either weekly or fortnightly lives. We'll just go through the process, just riff on, and I can show you guys some examples of brands, or I can even do a live case study build out. That's kind of me taking a brand from zero and just showing you exactly what I will do at every stage in time, where it, you know, it might be the logo, it might be the color palette, it might be building the website, and you guys can just join, we just chill, it'd be great. So awesome. I really appreciate all of you guys jumping on, all 25 of you guys. I say that out loud more so because this is the first time for me, so hopefully every single time I jump on, we can have slightly more people. I obviously expected only one person to join, so I'm glad that more people kind of found this pretty interesting. Hopefully I've given a good level of value, but obviously we're just getting started. Plan on posting here every week. Also plan on posting Instagram, TikTok, much more. So keep a lookout on the content. I look forward to connecting with you guys, and hopefully you enjoyed. All right, ciao.